In April 2024, Reese Witherspoon and her daughter Ava Philippi arrived at a Tiffany event in Beverly Hills, and within hours, their photo spread everywhere. Fans called them identical. Same fair hair, same smile, same chin. And yet Reese has said, more than once, that neither of them really sees it. That's the strange thing about famous mothers and daughters. The public swears they're copies, while the families themselves shrug. So which side is right? 15 pairs, one steady question. Let's look at the faces that keep tricking millions of people into a double take. Back in November 2017, Cindy Crawford did something simple. She posted 2 high school photos side by side, one of herself and one of her daughter Kaia Gerber. The comments filled up fast, because most people couldn't tell who was who. Kaia later described the feeling from the inside. She admitted that when she flips through old pictures of her mother, she sometimes gets confused and thinks she's staring at herself. That's not a fan guessing from a distance. That's the daughter, up close, unable to separate the two faces. Cindy built her name as one of the most photographed women of her era, and now the same bone structure walks runways under a different first name. The likeness runs so deep that it fooled the one person who should know better than anyone. If you're already spotting the pattern here, subscribe to the channel, because these lookalikes get harder to explain the further down the list we go. 20 years separate, one of the most quietly perfect examples on this list. In 2000, Lisa Bonet played a cool musician on screen. 2 decades later, in 2020, her daughter Zoe Kravitz stepped into the lead role for a streaming series reboot of the same story. Same character, same cool energy, same face. People assumed Zoe was simply following her mother's fashion sense, choosing similar clothes and hairstyles on purpose. The reality went further. She inherited a whole story and picked up where her mother left off. The two have coordinated outfits on red carpets so often that photographers sometimes struggle to caption them correctly. It's one thing to resemble your mom. It's another to walk into the identical part she made famous and make the world do a double take all over again. Gwyneth Paltrow reached back nearly 30 years to prove a point. She posted a photo of her daughter Apple Martin wearing the same slinky black Calvin Klein dress that Paltrow herself wore to a movie premiere in 1996. The dress fit Apple the way it once fit her mother, and fans lost it. There's barely a physical difference to work with anyway. Paltrow stands at 5'9", Apple at 5'8", a single inch between them. In December 2025, the two posted again, this time in matching pajamas. Apple now 21, and looking like a photocopy of her mom. And it doesn't stop at 2 people. One viral family photo lined up 3 generations: Gwyneth's mother, Gwyneth, and Apple, all sharing the same fair coloring across 60-odd years. In May 2015, Demi and her daughter Rumer Willis posted a photo that spread within hours. Matching jumpsuits, matching long dark hair, matching eyeglasses, and a 25-year age gap that somehow vanished in the frame. Rumer captioned it with a joke that landed perfectly. She wrote about the moment you realize you're actually becoming your mother. What makes the pair fun is how deliberate it was. They leaned into the likeness instead of running from it, dressing as a matched set on purpose, and inviting everyone to try telling them apart. Demi spent decades as a familiar face on magazine covers, and now that same profile shows up in the next generation. The photo worked because 2 women decided to have a laugh about the mirror that stares back at them. Kate Hudson walked into the InStyle Awards in November 2021, wearing a gold Michael Kors gown, and older fans felt a jolt of recognition. The dress, the glow, the loose golden waves, all of it mirrored the signature look her mother Goldie Hawn made famous decades earlier. Hudson didn't need a side-by-side photo to make the point. She simply carried the same sunny, easy charm her mom built a career on, and the likeness did the rest. Goldie became a beloved figure through years of warm, comic performances, and her daughter inherited both the smile and the sense of light that came with it. They share a way of filling a room, too. On that particular night, the gold gown turned a red carpet into a quiet tribute nobody had to explain. In December 2020, Heidi Klum introduced the world to her daughter in the clearest way possible. The two appeared together on the cover of Vogue Germany, and Leni Klum, just 16 at the time, made her modeling debut right beside her mom. Same long limbs, same confident stare into the lens. Heidi rose to fame as one of the most recognizable models of her generation, so handing the spotlight to a lookalike daughter carried real weight. Rather than sneaking into the industry quietly, Leni arrived on a magazine cover, standing shoulder to shoulder with the woman whose face she shares. Since then, the two have posed side by side often enough that strangers assume they're sisters. The debut worked precisely because the similarity was the whole story, printed large for everyone to see. If these pairs are catching you off guard, tap the like button. It's a small thing, and it genuinely helps more people find this. Maya Hawke stepped out with her mother Thurman at a film premiere in New York City in June 2023, and the red carpet photos told the whole story. Same tall, willowy frame, same pale features, same slightly dreamy expression. Built her reputation as one of the most distinctive faces of the 1990s, all sharp angles and cool composure. Maya carries the same architecture in her face, softened just slightly by a different generation. The two rarely need to try for the twinning effect. It happens on its own the moment they stand next to each other. Watching them on that carpet, the age gap seemed to shrink, and plenty of onlookers did a double take before figuring out which one was the mother. Some resemblances are engineered with matching clothes. This one simply exists. In July 2026, Christie Brinkley proved that time can be almost meaningless. At 72 years old, she showed up to a Hamptons party in matching head-to-toe Ferragamo, standing beside her 28-year-old daughter, Sailor Brinkley-Cook. 44 years apart, and the guests kept mistaking them for sisters. Brinkley spent the 1980s as one of the most photographed models alive, and somehow the face that defined that decade still reads as barely older than her grown daughters. The matching outfits only sharpened the illusion. Sailor has the same bright smile, the same golden hair, the same easy posture in front of a camera. The two have twinned at parties and events for years, but that summer photo pushed the effect about as far as it can go. Same clothes, same face, two generations wearing one look. Lily Rose Depp appeared alongside her mother Vanessa Paradis at a Chanel fashion show in July 2015, and the pairing felt almost too neat. Both women share the same delicate features, the same slightly gap-toothed smile, the same effortless French cool. Paradis became a fashion icon and singer long before her daughter was born, closely tied to the same fashion house that later welcomed Lily Rose. So when the two appeared together for the brand, it read like a torch being passed in real time. She stepped into the same world, wearing the same label, carrying the same understated style. Fans who grew up watching Paradis suddenly saw a familiar face on a new person. The match is so specific that it almost feels engineered, right down to the shape of their smiles. Grace Gummer arrived at the Met Gala in May 2026, looking just like her look-alike mother Meryl Streep, and the likeness set off a small online storm. After Grace posted photos highlighting how much she favors her mother, fans took it a step further. They launched a viral campaign begging for a prequel to one of Streep's most famous films, this time starring Grace in the role her mother originated. That's a rare kind of resemblance. It's strong enough that audiences genuinely want to watch the daughter replay the mother's biggest moment. Streep is often called one of the finest performers of her generation, and Grace carries the same expressive eyes and quick, knowing smile. The Met Gala photos only confirmed what fans suspected. The face that carried decades of acclaimed roles now has a younger double, ready-made for the part. Frances Bean Cobain made headlines in October 23 when she married Riley Hawke, joining together two well-known families, those of Courtney Love and Tony Hawke. The wedding photos put mother and daughter in the same frame, and the family resemblance came through clearly. Frances shares her mother's pale coloring and the same distinctive features that made Love a recognizable figure in the music world. The pairing is a quieter one on this list, less about matching outfits and more about a face passed down through a famous family. When the two stand together, the connection needs no caption. It's written in the bone structure. A wedding that united two households also lined up a mother and daughter who clearly belonged to the same lineage, and the guests who snapped photos that day noticed it right away. Madonna brought her eldest daughter, Lourdes to a Raising Malawi fundraising event in March 2025, and the two drew as much attention as any performance. Lourdes has grown into a near-perfect copy of her mother, sharing the same strong brows, the same bold features, the same magnetic presence in a crowd. Madonna spent decades as one of the most famous entertainers on the planet, reinventing herself again and again, and her daughter seems to have absorbed both the look and the fearless attitude. At the charity event, they stood together as equals rather than parent and child, and the likeness did the heavy lifting. Lourdes doesn't shy away from the comparison. She carries her mother's face with the same confidence her mom always had, turning a fundraiser into another moment where two generations blurred into one. Julianne Moore and her daughter Liv Freundlich share something that makes the resemblance impossible to miss: the same red hair. In January 2026, the two posted matching vacation photos, and fans immediately started counting the similarities: the identical coloring, the same wide smile, the same fair skin. Then in April 2026, Moore shared another photo of the pair, and Liv, 24 at the time, dropped a single word in the comments. She wrote "Twinum," and that was all it took to send the post around the internet. Moore, at 65, looked barely older than her grown daughter in the shot. Their coloring is so specific that it works like a signature, marking them instantly as mother and child. Some pairs need matching clothes to sell the effect. These two just need to stand in the same light and let the red hair do the talking. The final pair might be the most beloved of all. In November 2021, Tracee Ellis Ross posed for a Harper's Bazaar cover shoot, and the images stopped people cold due to her close resemblance to her mother Diana Ross. Same wide, radiant smile, same expressive eyes, same commanding glamour that Diana carried through decades as a singer and performer. Tracee built her own name in television, yet standing beside her mother, the years between them seemed to fold in on themselves. The cover celebrated exactly what everyone could already see, a face handed down with almost no changes. Diana is one of the most recognizable entertainers in history, and looking at that shoot, you understand the pull these pairs have on all of us. It answers the question from the start. The families may shrug, but the cameras never lie. If watching these lookalikes surprised you even once, like this video and subscribe, because the resemblances only get stranger the closer you look.